Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another fun-filled episode of The System is Down, the least comfortable show on the web where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, religion, and the libertarian frickin' party way too much these days. I know it's getting old and annoying for some of you. You want me to get back to the fun conspiracy stuff? It's coming, but when shit goes down, we gotta talk about it. So we're gonna talk about it today. Before we do, let's find my intro button, and we'll kick this thing off. Here we go.
The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Remember a simpler time when it was okay to be weird, have fun, and think for yourself?
Well, those days are over. The art of conversation itself is dead. Sacrificed on the altar of divide and conquer and disguised as political correctness and spared feelings. I believe that unity can only come from truth, and that the only way to find truth is by exploring and embracing our valuable differences and having civil, open-minded, and uncomfortable discourse. Conspiracies, politics, religion, and all the taboo topics your family just praise you don't bring up around the Thanksgiving dinner table. We are here to literally change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. So if you're easily offended, put your big girl panties on and buckle up, Buttercup, because you chose to be here. I'm Dan Smots, you are the power, and this is The System is Down.
Yes, it is. The System is Down. Welcome back. So we've got a fun one today. I can only assume we haven't done it yet, so I can't really say that for sure. But got John Odermatt coming on the show. He's here. He's floating around here somewhere. But kill the music. It's so distracting. But we are going to be talking about some of the Libertarian Party shenanigans that went down in Pittsburgh this weekend. Before we do, I got to remind you guys of the sponsors of the show, first and foremost being you guys in the Downers Club, people like Ellen Gomez, Jack Casey, Rick Duran, Javari, Edward Middlebrook, Andrew Sichling, Mark Clare, Kyle Evans, Paul Brandenberger, Craig DeCosta, Ryan Mortensen, Anthony Meyer, John Odermatt's on here somewhere, Lions of Liberty, I think is, there's John, Nathan Sipes, David White, John Schweppe, Lucas Riley, Mary Rome, Justin Zelinsky, and others. If you want to be on that list and maybe have your name read on the show, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/The System is Down, where you'll get bonus episodes of the show every single week, where it'll more weird, more raw, more offensive, more weekly content, patreon.com/The System is Down. I'm also working on a brand new website. We might be getting rid of Patreon soon. That's the goal, but stand by. Go join that for now. Also, our other sponsors are as follows. If I can find the right thing, we've got Kratom, which I am drinking right now. I've had an upset stomach all day. I believe I've shat 7 times today. I know John's going to tell me that it's my gut biome, but I don't know what it is. We'll see. Drinking some Kratom right now. That's keeping me happy regardless of my shitting problems, and maybe it'll stop me up a bit. If you would like to have these wonderful benefits in your life, plus the more positive ones of having mental focus and clarity and all sorts of great things, go try an ounce of Kratom for absolutely free at freeounceofkratom.com. You can also go there and buy Delta 8 THC. That's right, weed. You can buy weed, and you can buy it in all the states where weed is currently not legal. So check it out at freeounceofkratom.com or myBraveBotanicals.com. John, have you tried Kratom?
I have not, but I got to tell you that promo, free ounce of Kratom, that's it's hard to pass up.
That's right. So there's that. Check it out, myBraveBotanicals.com. Also, we are sponsored. Today's episode is sponsored by The Royal Green. Jack Casey wrote a book, and it's called The Royal Green, and it's available at theroyalgreen.com. I've not read it because I don't read things, because I'm not good at it. But The Royal Green is a sci-fi, like, The Matrix meets Twilight meets Romeo and Juliet meets, like, some sort of futuristic civil war. That's what I hear. It sounds cool, and you can check it out right now. Go get it, because most importantly, because they sponsor the show, Jack Casey has the balls to sponsor the show and come on the show and be a cool guy. So check him out. Go read the much better described description of the book at theroyalgreen.com and check it out. All right, we are here with the one, the only Jonathan Odermatt. John, how are you doing?
Just John, not a Jonathan. I
You're
have a
not?
personal feud with everyone named Jonathan in the world, so I try to.
Really? So your parents were like, we want him to be John, but we don't want to make his life. I don't know if it would be easier or more complicated to have the two names. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, the whole Jonathan thing. Well, there's the Jonathans that it's Jon and they go John for short.
Yeah.
But then there's the Jonathans that have the JOHN and then a thin after that. And
That's
those
just-
guys, you got to watch out for those assholes.
That's just
They are.
ridiculous. That's just narcissistic abuse of letters. But
Yeah.
John, it's been a while since you've been on the show. It's been like years, I think. But how are you doing, man?
Doing good. Yeah. I think the last time, take a little zoom out there. I think the last time I was on were we talking about guns, maybe? I think we were talking about guns.
We're
Not
talking
sure.
about guns and drugs and felon fun, I believe. It was back when your show was called Felony
title.
Friday.
Yeah. It's a good title. Good job.
Yeah, so real quick, let's give people an update on you. Like, what's been happening with the show? I know you rebranded, changed the name and all that. Where you been?
Yeah. So beginning of 2021, rebranded to from Felony Friday to Finding Freedom, which it's now called. And the main driver for that, the main reason, was because I wanted to have more flexibility to talk to more people, to bring on not just people to talk about criminal justice reform or people who have been through the criminal justice system, but people who do all kinds of different things. And be it entrepreneurship, overcoming issues there, or really lately, obviously with what's going on with COVID and lockdowns, just been talking to a lot of business owners on how they've dealt with COVID, some shady things that have happened with counties trying to buy off compliance, COVID compliance with business owners with grants and things of that nature. I talked to a guy in India who is a tour guide over there about how COVID has impacted that country, and just really the horrors that have happened in India around COVID. When they did their initial lockdown, they gave 4 hours warning before they locked down the entire country. And the way India is set up, and I'm not an expert in India, but it's just the way I understand it, is that it's large cities, and then a lot of the manual workers, a lot of the laborers live in villages, and they'll live in the city when they're working on these jobs, and they'll travel back to villages, see their family. But with everything closed down and nowhere to go, all of these thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people ended up walking from these large cities back to their villages. People were dying on the road. I mean, these are people walking with little kids on their back and didn't have any food or water. And it actually was so bad that the guy that I interviewed, he wasn't able to sleep for like 3 days because it was just so loud. And also it was nerve-wracking knowing that all these people were out there and you couldn't help them, walking past his where he lived. So it's crazy stuff.
So they locked it down as in you can't drive anywhere. You just, wherever you are there as of 4 hours from now.
Well,
is that how it went down?
Yeah, a lot of these people didn't have cars, and they stopped all forms of public transportation.
Gotcha.
So they were out of luck.
Sure. Geez. Okay. Well, that's a fun way to start off. But so you basically rebranded just to kind of expand, and I'm glad that my name is so vague because I've changed like the format of the show and what I do on it so many times over the years. Is that kind of the reason where you can only interest so many people in something like felonies, but everybody's looking for their own freedom? Is that kind of the gist?
Yeah, I mean, they tell you in podcasts. In fact, Mark just had on Mark Clare, Lions of Liberty host. On his Monday show, he had on John Lee Dumas, who John Lee Dumas is like, one of the trailblazers in podcasting. He started Entrepreneur on Fire back in 2012. And they were talking about, how he niched down into, targeting entrepreneurs, but then targeting entrepreneurs who wanted to listen to a interview with an entrepreneur 7 days a week, so it's talk about niching down. I think niching down is good in some ways, but you can get too narrow. And when you get too narrow, there's just not enough audience there when you start to grow. And also with the Felony Friday thing, I mean, it sucks, but felons, have stigmas against them for getting hired and all kinds of stuff like that. And also, a show called Felony Friday has a stigma against it because people see Felony Friday like, oh, I don't want to listen to a bunch of felons.
Right. So the injustice that you're talking about was actually impacting your show because
a little bit
the stigma around felonies. Yeah. Interesting. So something happened this weekend, I hear. I wasn't there. You were there, correct?
Yeah, I was in Pittsburgh at the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania convention, and I was also there was two different events. So there was the convention, and there was a separate event the Mises Caucus put on, Michael Heiss and the Mises Caucus, called the Take Human Action Bash, which was headlined on Friday night by Dave Smith and Scott Horton and couple local
other racists,
couple other Nazis. I don't know. I was I couldn't see past all the goose stepping,
of course.
But and then Saturday night was Jeff Deist from the Mises Institute. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I think it's
Deist.
Is it Deist?
That's
I
what
don't
I've
know.
always
It probably
heard.
is.
That's
probably
what I've always heard.
It's probably Deist. I'm an idiot. Sorry, Jeff.
It's all good.
And Michael Rechtenwall, who actually lives in Pittsburgh, and he has the incredible story of he was a teacher teaching like studies in socialism, and figured out it was all bullshit, and converted himself to becoming a libertarian. And he has some fascinating things. And Anthony Samaroff, who I gotta say, that guy is a fantastic public speaker. Gave a great talk on not just being an asshole on the internet, but actually, building relationships and being a decent person, and a very, very funny guy. And he has that, lovable Scottish accent too. So that was enjoyable. But so these two different events, and Michael Heiss had a post, I think it was today or last night, that he threw up, just talking about like how diametrically opposed the two events were, just in the mood, and you could feel differences in the air. So the first thing I went to obviously was Friday night, and that was Scott Horton and Dave Smith with the Take Human Action Bash. And I show up expecting to be 100 people in a room. I mean, and that would be big for like a libertarian event. Normally you get to libertarian events, like 20 people there, and
especially
everyone
not
knows each other.
Related, like a side libertarian event, not even like party related. Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I show up, and funny enough, just as chance would have it, I'm walking in, and the first person like I see is Dave Smith. I'm like, "Hey, Dave, what's up?" He's like, "Oh, hey." And he didn't recognize me at first. And I said, "I'm John Odermatt." He said, "Oh my gosh, you're the best line of liberty. I should have known that."
Yeah. And then he walked over he walked over to Brian and said, "Oh, my favorite Lions of Liberty." Yeah.
Brian and Mark weren't there. So
yeah.
Screw them.
Yep.
But I asked him where the bar was, and of course Dave knew where the bar was, so that was number one priority. Got a beer, and then I made my way into the room to find a seat, which I could not find because every table was full, wall to wall. Like estimates from Heiss it was way more than 300 people. Could have been 350, 400. Just a huge ballroom, just packed full of happy libertarians drinking and having a good time and talking about liberty. And Scott Horton, well, after the local libertarian spot, the guy running for chair, Mike Bozzacco, gave a speech, and I missed a couple of the ones before that. I think Ken Krawchuk, who's another guy who ran for governor in Pennsylvania a few years ago. They gave some talks, and then Scott Horton comes up, and Scott Horton's given his talk on what's happening in Israel with the Gaza Strip and Hamas, and just freaking just destroying and getting everyone fired up. And then Dave Smith comes up, and I think I tweeted later that night that Dave's talk, it was one of those, and it was very, very well organized. He just went from he had 4 or 5 main points talking about ending the lockdowns, ending the wars, ending the war on drugs, stopping I forget how he phrased it, something about stopping big banks. And I started an End the Fed chant. So that was nice.
Nice.
But so it was an awesome speech. And he's getting like Dave is such a talent. This is the first time I've seen him. I haven't seen his stand up live, but I've seen it recorded.
Right.
But obviously, as a stand up comedian, you have a talent. If somebody yells something out, you just riff off of it and then come back to what you're talking about. And people are yelling things out, good things. I mean, no one's heckling him, obviously. And he would just make a comment on it, they come right back, and it was just very, very well done. And people are, there's people are going crazy, pounding on tables when he's, talking about bringing the troops home or ending wars, things like that. And it was one of those moments, and I get goosebumps when I talk about this, that I really think a year from now, 2 years from now, people who were there are going to look back on it, and people who weren't there are going to look back on it and lie about being in that room, saying they were there.
I'm going to. I've already got the post scheduled for 5 years from now.
There you go.
I remember the day vividly when John Odermatt explained it to me.
Yeah, that's how memory works. By the
That's
5
right.
years from now, you probably will think you were in the room.
Probably.
But it was just incredible. And when I talked to Dave before he gave his speech, I was like, yeah, let's grab an interview afterwards if you have some time. He's like, oh yeah, sure we'll have time. He's like, unless I get mobbed afterwards for like a couple hours, then we'll do an interview. Yeah. So he gives the speech, and after the speech, I'm like, there is no way I'm going to be able to interview Dave after this, because the entire room just went up there, was getting pictures with him, and
awesome.
It was incredible. It was just very well done event. They had I assume the video's out or will be out soon. Professional, film crew there, and everything well done. They had the Mises Caucus, backdrop. Everything looked very, very professional.
Yeah.
Contrast Friday night.
Hold on.
Saturday.
We got to. Let's not get into the meat just yet. I want to get a little bit of backstory on you and your involvement with the Mises Caucus, because as of about a year ago, neither of us were like that stoked about this movement or this caucus or anything when Jacob Hornberger was there. Well, I mean, he's still there and he's still a part of it, but I remember asking you, what are your thoughts?
There? I don't know.
I think his name's still on the list. I don't know what he's doing. I think he still writes for the Institute or whatever, but I didn't know much about the caucus a year ago, and heard all the rumors, and I've talked to many people like Josh Smith and Angela McCardle and everybody about all the rumors, and I'm not buying them anymore. But we were so back when all the convention and everything was going down before, I asked you your thoughts on the caucus, and you said something to the effect that it's boring. They're boring. They're boring people. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I might be misremembering, but you weren't that enthused about them, to say the least. How has that progressed over the last 6 months only?
That's a good question. That's why you're such a good podcast host, Dan.
Oh, thanks.
So, well, I think to address that first point there about them being boring, that wasn't about the caucus. That was about Jacob Hornberger, specifically. And nothing against Jacob as a person. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's done a lot for liberty. He's written books. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. But he's not a presidential candidate. He puts people to sleep.
Sure.
The only way somebody can become president if they put people to sleep is if you're Joe Biden, and literally nobody else can.
Joe Biden puts himself to sleep. Yeah. Speaking of candidates that put people to sleep, I mean the person that we nominated wasn't too exciting herself, so it is what it is. We aren't all meant to be the president of the United States. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing about Jo Jorgensen, not to go way off topic, but she wasn't exciting, but at least for the most part she was principled, and she was like, compared to Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, she was like a radical. So
right.
That was
I was comparing to Hornberger. Like
right.
They're kind of similar in my mind. Pretty damn principled on paper, but when you put them up on stage, just. No,
that's a fair point. I would agree with that.
Anyway,
so
continue.
Yeah, my history with the caucus. So I'll just give my LP history real quick. So I did not join the LP until 2017, or I guess it was 2018, early 2018. No, it was 2017, I think. And the way that happened is I'd always kind of joked about the Libertarian Party. Well, you know what? They really don't do anything. They run candidates, and their candidates don't get any votes. And
right.
I was still very much I wasn't. I definitely come away from the Republican Party, but I didn't think the Libertarian Party was a solution. So I was kind of just without a home, just kind of criticizing everybody, which is always fun to do.
Yep, we've all been there.
And then I saw a Facebook ad from a guy running for Senate in Pennsylvania, and this was like well over a year before the Senate elections in Pennsylvania in 2018. So I'm like, that's interesting. A libertarian who is spending money on the internet. I haven't seen that before. That's interesting. This was, I mean, I literally had not seen it before. I know
Right.
in recent times in 2020, and it happens all the time now, we see libertarians using Facebook and Instagram and, all that stuff pretty well.
Yeah.
But back then there was like nothing. So I reached out to him thinking, this is a guy, I knew nothing about the party. I'm thinking, this is a guy, he's probably busy. He probably has like a huge team. I'll just see if he needs any help with anything. And I told him about like some Facebook marketing experience I had. And I emailed him, and like 10 minutes later, I get an email back. Hey, John, that's from him. It wasn't like from someone on his team.
Yeah.
This was Dale Kearns. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
John, that's cool. How about we have a call and we can talk about what you can do to help the campaign. It's like, oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that response.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I ended up getting involved with Dale's campaign, became his campaign manager eventually. And that was my first experience in the party.
Nice.
Met a lot of nice people, a lot of people who had been with the party for a while, who worked their ass off for liberty, going out getting signatures, and a lot of people very, very good at this process that they've figured out, and how to get on the ballot and how to campaign and how to keep the party alive, not really growing or thriving in any way, but
Sustaining,
just kind of there,
hanging in there,
which is important. I mean, that's very important, because you keep the party there long enough, then something eventually is going to come along with some energy and give the party a boost, which I think we'll get to that later. I think that's what's coming.
Yep.
So just to get forward to the Mises Caucus, I think at that convention in early 2018 is when I met Michael Heiss. He might have reached out to me beforehand. I can't remember. And I met him, and I think he was talking about it back then. Like, oh yeah, I'm talking about forming this caucus, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure, whatever, man. I don't even know what a caucus is. Have fun with that. And so I really, and I watched it over the years. I watched it grow, and I've been supportive of the Mises Caucus, and I've always had a lot of friends who are in the Mises Caucus, and I mean, they've always been very, very passionate, very hardcore about the principles of liberty, pretty much about what Dave Smith was talking about during that speech, keeping it to that core message. You're not virtue signaling or, trying to please the left by going over here or
all the identity politics and wokeness and fun stuff which, yeah, I mean, there's a debate to be had on whether or not libertarians should be going down that road. But if we can't agree on the basics, then why are we even talking about all these other levels of ending racism? And if anarchy is, some far-fetched goal, or a libertarian utopia is some far-fetched dream pie in the sky, ending racism is up there right along with it. So maybe we can just, think what we think and encourage people to not be assholes, but it's not really, it shouldn't be a political issue. But
yeah, the state's not going to really end racism. It's not really a function of government to force people to not be racist. I don't think. Did it work with drugs? Did it work with getting people to stop doing drugs? No. So
nope.
Actually made the problem a lot worse.
Yep. Made the racism a lot worse too.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Yeah, it did. And it actually, you could say it made the government racist.
Right.
In a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Just systematically. But yeah, so to tie this all together. So, I guess the first Mises Caucus event that I went to was it was that Libertarian Party National Convention in 2018 in New Orleans, where Mark Clare and I went down to do interviews for Lions of Liberty. And they had I think that was like the first Mises event. And I forget who was there. Michael Bolden emceed it. I think Dave Smith was supposed to, but he got sick or something. And there were a bunch of Tom Woods. Yeah, Tom Woods talked which was cool, and I forget who else, but it was that was a big event too. But that was like, and the reason they had that event then was sort of similar to the reason why they had the one in Pittsburgh this year, was because the LP said, "Oh, you want Tom Woods to come speak? We can't allow that. He's a Nazi, obviously. He hates black people." Like, what are you talking about? Where does this come from?
Yeah, and we've talked about it quite a bit on this show. Just the disconnect of the liberty movement versus the LP, which is staggering to me. That how they have. I don't know. There's a lot of inside baseball that I know a lot of people aren't going to care about, but I find it fascinating. Just the complete disconnect where they are throwing all the biggest movers and shakers in the liberty movement under the bus, almost as if it's an attempt to make sure that, like, they'll find a tweet that was posted by an intern 15 years ago and say, well, that person's obviously a racist, so we have to, shun them from the movement. I don't know. What's your take on where the LP is on that? Are they CIA
I don't know.
plants?
I don't like. I don't want to try to read people's minds. And just to get into what happened on Saturday, because I think that's a pretty good transition. But
sure.
The people in the party, for the most part, I would say 80-20 rule or even 90-10 rule. That core group that is in the party that I think did behave poorly on Saturday. I'll get into the details of how they blocked people from voting, but I just want to say up front, in 2018 when I came into the party, I met a lot of these people. A lot of these people, helped me when I was managing Dale's campaign. They're good people and they work hard to advance liberty. Mm-hmm. And I don't like. I think it's very important that we point that out, that these are not like evil people. Right. Like, these are not in the same category you would put like Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or some of those politicians who are obviously.
Lost you. I'll finish what John Odermatt was about to say. He was going to condemn the Libertarian Party in every facet. Let me see if I can get him back. 1 second. And John's back. Go ahead, John.
So the people in the party who did block new members out from voting on Saturday in Pittsburgh at the Pennsylvania Libertarian Convention, they are good people, and I'll keep pointing that out and keep saying that. I think that there has been maybe some definitely miscommunication, definitely some maybe poor messaging. From the part of the Mises Caucus. I think using the word takeover is not good. Sure. And I'm going to encourage everyone to move away from that, because that's not what you want to do. That's not a goal. You don't want to take over the party. Right. You want to grow the party. You want to contribute to the party. You want to enhance the party. You want to enhance the message. You want to reach more people. You want to, expand the offerings of that's going to attract people who love liberty to the party, because not everyone's going to love the Mises Caucus. There's going to be people who are attracted to this libertarian message by a Gary Johnson type message. So you want to have those Gary Johnson types in the party. You want to have those Joe Jorgensen types in the party. You want to have those no, you don't want those Bill Weld types in the party.
Don't want those Raytheon lobbyists necessarily, but they do bring us some money. But I do understand the pushback to the takeover verbiage, but at the same time, I can also understand the as the guy who just made the video called The Takeover, while I have my issues with the use of that phrase, it's kind of like, who cares what you call it to me? It has to be as bold as possible. It has to be as blunt as possible, in my opinion, because the way things are going is just floundering and being detrimental to the liberty movement. For me personally, I'm like, I kind of don't like it, but I kind of don't care, because whatever they have to call it to make this happen and actually get the liberty movement to coincide with the party itself to make some change, it's fine. I think that they should maybe move away from it now that the point has been made, and push more towards the Ron Paul revolution, which is what I tried to make very clear in the video. But I agree with you, but I also understand why some painful, scary terms might have to be used at the beginning of it to shake some people awake.
No, that is a fair point. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe it was necessary at the beginning. I don't know, but yeah, I do. I think at this point it is probably the best strategy to move away from saying that, because honestly, that is what was cited by the people who were scared. And honestly, that's exactly what this reaction was. It was fear that an outside force was coming in to take over their, state party. That's what people thought. I mean, that's not even like something they were saying to justify it. That's literally what a lot of these people thought. Now, so what happened was you had a little more than 100 people who were permitted to vote in the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania election. Now, it's made up of, Pennsylvania is kind of weird. There's probably other states like this, or maybe there aren't. But the way Pennsylvania's set up, if you are a member of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania, you can vote in their state convention. You can live out of state. You can live in any state in the United States of America and come to the convention and vote. And there also is a 180 day rule. I guess I should add one more thing. If you are in state, though, so you have to be a member of the party and you have to be a registered libertarian. So there's two qualifications for in state, which I think that's kind of bullshit that you got to register with the state, but whatever. Anyway, that's a different conversation.
So you have to be registered, or anybody can come from anywhere, but they have to register within the state before they can vote?
No, that's the out-of-state people do not need to register. Obviously, they can't register to vote in the state. The way they have it written,
that makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. The way they have it, and it's probably it's probably in there for the way they used it, really, to prevent. It's really meant, the clause that they use, which I'll describe, is meant to prevent like the Republican Party or the Democrat Party or, a bunch of people from all signing up and just taking over the Libertarian Party.
Right. I mean, we invite them in and do it anyway. We bring Bill Weld in to take over the party anyway. So what difference does it make?
Yeah, Bill Weld came over and nobody followed. Like,
that's right.
Come on, guys. Come on, Republicans. Like, no, Bill, have fun. It's okay over there. You just do your thing.
Yep.
So yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. So you could be out of state, and obviously you can't register to vote in Pennsylvania. You're out of state. The way they have it written is something to do in the bylaws with whatever the laws allow. So obviously the laws don't allow an out-of-state person to register in the state of Pennsylvania, but the laws do allow a in-state person to register as libertarian in the state of Pennsylvania. And I think the reason they have that in there in Pennsylvania particularly is because in order to get, one of the ways to get major party status is by getting a certain percentage of the population or the registered voters, registered libertarian, which it's some ridiculous number that God knows when we'll ever get that, if ever.
Right.
So that's probably why they have that in there for that thing. But then there's also a 180-day rule in the bylaws that can be waived. Everyone I talk to says it's standard. They've never seen it not waived before at a state convention. And the 180-day rule says that basically, if you're a member of the party for 180 days or more, then you can vote in the state convention. Normally what happens, like I said, that rule is waived, and people who signed up even just a day before are permitted to vote in the election. In 2018, when I joined the party and I brought my wife to the convention, I think maybe a week before, it might have been a day before, she registered, libertarian, signed up for the party so she could vote.
When I was at the
party
Illinois,
business.
when I was at the Illinois convention last year, I signed up the day of because I was on a group chat with Vermin's people, and they were like, "Oh, we need more delegates or whatever," and they were like, "Just go register now." So I registered, and they let me vote same day. So good turnaround time.
Yeah. So the people who who met those qualifications, who met the qualifications of being out of state and being a Libertarian Party member, and the people who met the qualifications of being in state and being registered for 180 days, the out of state also had to be the 180 days as well. I think there were like 115 or something of those people. I was one of those people. But there was also, I've heard different numbers, and I was interviewing Scott Horton when they were going through the credentials at the beginning, so I missed this.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say it was like 170 more people who did not meet that 180-day threshold. Included in that, a lot of people who have no part in the Mises Caucus, who they just, signed up.
Sure.
People who are running for office, who are on the ballot in our elections. Today's Monday, the 17th. On Monday, the 18th, there are special elections in Pennsylvania. There are libertarians on the ballot who can be on the ballot, can get votes from anybody in their district, but they were not allowed to vote at the Libertarian Party state convention. Just freaking crazy, complete craziness.
Yeah.
But there were also people who, and this is why one of the reasons why they blocked it, because there were a lot of Mises Caucus people who came up for the Take Human Action Bash on Friday, Saturday night. Right. And Michael Heiss has said anybody who is a Libertarian Party Pennsylvania member can come to the Take Human Action Bash. Mm-hmm. And it's like, the price was cheaper to become a member than it was for the ticket for the bash.
Right.
And I think the ticket included food and all that stuff. But so people, a lot of people joined, and I don't know what the exact numbers were. Michael Heiss, I'm pretty sure I heard this secondhand, so I don't know. I don't want to speak for him. He can clear it up if he hears this and wants to clear it up.
Sure.
But I'm pretty sure that he did not want the out-of-state people to vote from the Mises Caucus unless out-of-state people were voting in opposition, just to make it fair. But what ended up happening is the only out-of-state people who were voting were the people who were opposing the Mises Caucus, people who, the Socialist Caucus and the Cathedral Caucus, which is a real thing, apparently.
Yep. They've got a Facebook group, at least. That's all you need to have a caucus in the Libertarian Party, apparently.
I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty good troll. I mean, it's creative. I'll give them credit for that.
Yeah.
So they have that, normally it's just at the beginning of a convention. That's the first thing they do, waive the 180-day rule. Normally there's no little secret ballots you have to do in order to do it. Mm-hmm. You do it just by standing up or raising your hand or whatever. They did it with secret ballots, the 180-day rule, so you wouldn't know who was voting for what.
Yeah.
And it didn't pass. So that current 115 membership who met that threshold, it was basically like 70-30 or 75-35, something like that. Which probably 20 to 25 of that 75 was out of state people. Mm-hmm. So it was about 50 people within the state of Pennsylvania. And that blocked everyone out. And it went on for a while. It was just a shit show for a lot of reasons. That one to start it, the sound was awful. You couldn't hear what anybody was saying.
Like a libertarian convention to me.
Yeah.
It was a shit show, and they had a bunch of technical issues and argued.
Well, this goes more into the two diametrically opposed things, like Friday night,
right.
Professional setup. You got the cameras, you got immaculate sound in this place. And then Saturday, it's somebody's up. Oh, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They just put the mic down and start screaming. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it was outside, which kind of sucked, but actually it was a beautiful day. So it ended up being nice, and it wasn't that hot. So it was actually pretty nice to be outside. Mm-hmm. But, and that was more Pittsburgh's fault than anything. That I think we had to be outside because of their stupid regulations for COVID.
Of course.
And because the turnout got so big, so people sign up at the last minute. So what ends up happening is through that secret ballot, they block out 170 people, 150 people, whatever it was, from participating. And then there's some different, strategic things that were done. I really just to try to drive home the point, what was happening, trying to I guess, call to question again. And some people got to come up and talk and, speak at the mic about their personal stories. That's where the candidate who's running on Tuesday came up and talked about that. That's where a guy from my county who's done a ton of work, and he's Mises Caucus. He's done a lot of work recruiting in local colleges and universities, growing our local party, growing the state party. He paid for the shuttle that went from the hotel to his restaurant where they had the social event on Friday night for the Libertarian Party. He paid for that shuttle out of his own pocket. He came, set up chairs, set up tables, helped out with all that stuff. Wasn't allowed to vote because he didn't
Then
meet
he
the
got
180-day
fucked.
threshold.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. So these people up there telling these stories, and it's like that's what made me in that moment. It's made me so angry. It's like, you people are human beings, and you're hearing these people tell these stories,
Right.
and you could just see like the people sitting there like, oh, let's just get on with business. Come on, stop talking, let's get on with business. And eventually they were able to get enough of a majority to start the business and do the elections and everything, which they were able to elect all of their candidates, except somehow the Mises Caucus got like 4 out of 5 on the Judicial Committee, which I don't understand how that happened. I guess nobody wanted to do it.
Yeah. So it was primarily again, I've only seen the rumblings on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. People, and of course they're all biased. The Mises Caucus people are saying that they got completely screwed. The other people are saying, oh, screw the Mises Caucus, we dominated or whatever. I don't know. Like, was it primarily Mises Caucus people getting screwed out of the takeover, quote unquote, by the Cathedral Caucus, or am I oversimplifying this?
I mean, the way that I've come to look at it after having some time to reflect on it, when I compare the party from 2018 when I came in until now, it is light years ahead of where it was. I think the current leadership, I do disagree with some of the things they've done, but they have built some infrastructure. And I think what happened was things kind of aligned at the perfect time, where you had all this energy coming into the party, and you had the leadership had built some infrastructure and was, doing mailings and raising money and, sending out postcards, talking about our candidates, things we'd never done before, we'd never done before. And these two things kind of met to coalesce into, growing the party, which is awesome. That's a great thing.
We should all agree.
Liberty's growing. People are finding out about it.
Yeah.
And I think it came down to who gets the credit, honestly. And I'm not even criticizing anybody, because I understand the perspectives. When you're pouring your heart and soul into something, and you're working your ass off, and you're taking time away from your family, I would not have acted the same way and blocked people out from voting. I would have been inclusive. Yeah. But I can easily understand why they wanted to do things the way they did, why they wanted to keep their people in charge. And I think there's been miscommunication, and a lot of these new Joe Jorgensen party members who were allowed to vote, who met that 180-day threshold, I think have been very, very misinformed on the Mises Caucus. Yeah. And, maybe they're listening to the fake news, CNN. Yeah. Not CNN, but whoever the fake news is coming from, whoever the people are who are calling, Dave Smith a Nazi and Tom Woods Hitler. Right. People are listening to that, then they're very ill-informed.
Those people are very loud. They're very loud and fairly convincing. Yeah. Like, for me, it took me a while to get over all that nonsense, because I was like, some of the people that I was involved with, not naming names, and it wasn't anybody that I was involved with that, like, it wasn't Vermin Supreme or it wasn't Spike or anybody like that. It was the people working behind the scenes on a lot of these things. They were like calling out Tom Woods and stuff, and calling out Ron Paul, and I totally didn't understand what the hell was going on. But there was a part of me for a while there that was like, do I not, like, have I completely missed something? Are these people not to be trusted? And then as I dug, it's like, so, like, point being, I understand why some people are afraid of this thing, because the dissenters, or not dissenters, but like the opposition to the Mises Caucus is very loud, and they just keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. So at some point, people are like, well, I don't have time to listen to 150 Dave Smith episodes or Tom Woods 15,000 episodes to figure out if he's a racist or not. So I guess these people, they say they're libertarians, so they must be telling the truth. And it's pretty damaging to the party and to the movement, in my opinion.
It is, and I mean, it's just one of those things. The only way you overcome it is, I think, with time. I don't think you tried. I think the Mises Caucus, and I mean, it's not everyone in the Mises Caucus, obviously, but I think there's some people who've sort of done some damage by. You have to fight back some. You can't just let people spit in your face.
Right.
But you're just trying to, constantly just go after these people. I think at a certain point, it's just like, just ignore them. I mean, just ignore them and entirely.
And there are
when you do
shitty
that-
people in the Mises Caucus, just like in the Radical Caucus and the Pragmatic Caucus.
there
Like
are. Yes, there
one
are.
person sending out a tweet or sending a private message should not condemn the entire organization. So.
Yeah, I questioned, this was a month ago or 6 weeks ago. I questioned on some Facebook post when the Mises Caucus was comparing the vaccine passports to, the lead up to the Holocaust in Nazi Germany with the gold star.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if that's the right thing to say really right now. And people are like, oh, what are you, low T? What are you, girl? What's wrong
Right.
with you? Like, what?
Right. So there's
Soy
the one
boy?
side.
How about soy boy?
Right, you beta
Like,
cook
what-
soy boy. Yeah, I've seen it, and all I can say is, dear Mises Caucus, if you want people to stop assuming that you're assholes, stop being assholes. And I don't mean all of you. I mean you. You know who you are, and same for everybody else. If you want people to listen to your message, stop being a dick. It's not that hard.
For some people, it is, I think, and some
it seems
people
to be.
there's a lot of. It's important to understand the caucuses are made up of people, and
Right.
there's a certain percentage of people who are always going to be dicks. So just
Yeah.
got to ignore them on all sides, really. Just ignore all the dicks.
Yeah.
That's probably good advice for life.
It's good dating advice too, unless you're into that sort of thing. But so with this, them not over or waiving the bylaws or whatever, it's kind of it's something that they didn't do anything wrong technically. It's by the books, but it's something that's never been done before, which I can only imagine has disenfranchised many new members to the party. Do you think that it will have repercussions on the level of people being like, well, screw this, I gave it a shot, I tried doing politics, and I did what they told me to do, and then they said I still couldn't be a part of it? Do you think that'll be an issue?
Nobody that I've talked to is has said they're fed up with it and they're giving up. Everyone I've talked to is more fired up than they were beforehand.
Sure.
Because they saw what happened. I've heard from people, on the other side that there have been people who have canceled their membership. There probably have been. I mean, I'm sure there have been some that have canceled their membership. Maybe some of the out-of-state people who came up for the event canceled their membership and maybe they'll start it up again next year. Who the heck knows? But It doesn't really matter. I think the net event is when something like this happens, and it's so obvious that it's wrong and not the right way to deal with it, that the people who were neutral, I'm not going to say they're going to join the Mises Caucus, but they're at least going to be like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? And
Right.
their eyes are going to kind of be opened up. So they won't be as easily manipulated by the Cathedral Caucus calling Dave Smith Hitler.
Right.
So people, I think it kind of woke people up that something else is going on here, and I think it's gonna drive more people into the Mises Caucus ultimately.
Yeah.
I mean, myself included. After this happened, I mean, I'll say it on it right now. I've never been a financial contributing member of the Mises Caucus, and I joined at $50 a month. So I'm in.
So you're fairly convinced.
Party now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I got my hair cut like a Nazi right after.
Of course.
Actually, that was
Just immediately got out the clippers and shaved the sides. So as a new joiner of it officially with your dollars and putting your money where your mouth is, do you think that this is the way forward? I mean, you've pushed back against the takeover language and stuff like that, but are you convinced that the Mises Caucus and what they're doing is the future of the Libertarian Party, or would you not take it that far?
I mean, I don't think the answer is everyone joins the Mises Caucus. I think for certain people, I think it's definitely the right move to do it. I think a lot of energy is going to come through the Mises Caucus. And I probably have a little different perspective right now, as I was able to attend that event on Friday, Saturday night and meet so many people.
Yeah.
I was also able to have some personal conversations with Scott Horton about what's kicking around in his brain and how excited he is. So that excitement is just kind of bleeding off on me. So I mean,
and you can't call Scott Horton a racist. You really can't. He spends 100% of his time defending other races or other minorities, whatever, foreigners, people in other countries, humans. So,
well, that is the one thing they did. So I might not have said this or not, but they would not. The reason there was the second event was because they would not allow Dave Smith to speak at the main Libertarian Party event. They did end up allowing at the last minute Scott Horton to do a breakfast panel with Nicholas Sarwark, which I missed, unfortunately.
That would be quite. There better be video of that out there somewhere because I want to hear it.
I hope there is too. Scott said that Scott has nothing personally against Nick. And I think in talking with Scott, I think he brought up some good points about what's happened with Nick in that Twitter has ruined him. And he's been attacked so many times that's all he can do is he's just in attack mode all the time.
He's broken.
And he's broken, really. Twitter has broken him. And it's unfortunate because I remember back when Nick was not broken and when you could have, normal conversations with him but that time has passed. So maybe he'll get back to old Nick someday. But
I remember Nick at Porkfest a couple years ago. He was high on stage with makeup on for Gothic Night or something like that. And I can't even imagine that Nick today, only a mere 2 years later. Come back, Nick. You're in there somewhere.
Yeah, come back.
Let all the what is the stuff that what is it? Shit.
Eyeshadow?
No, like
he was wearing
Stoicism.
Oh yeah.
Ease up a little bit and have some fun, Nick. We're the Libertarian Party. Calm down.
Yeah. I think that's a good point for everyone. Let's all ease up, have some fun. And I think the message for me coming out of this, and Dave said something similar in his speech on Friday night, that like the time for shit talking and calling people names and all the mudslinging, that time has passed.
Sure.
The time now is to lead. The time now is to lead with love and compassion. And if to have a successful movement, and Jeff talked about this on Saturday night, that it's got to be more than just really a political party.
Yeah.
It has to be cultural. It has to be social. It has to be bigger than that. So I would just encourage people. I'm not saying everyone needs to go out and join the Mises Caucus. And I think one of the things is like these new Joe Jorgensen type members that I've talked to who joined in the past year or two. Their thing is like, well, why do they need a Mises Caucus? Why do they have to have a caucus? Why can't they just say the Libertarian Party? And they'll say things like, well, we like the messaging that Gary Johnson said. And, we don't want people to talk about these, radical things like ending the war on drugs. And that's not going to win elections.
Right.
Well, is the message now winning elections? But
right. It's been going great.
It's okay to have all those messages coming from candidates who are running for office and libertarians who are in the party. You can have to a certain extent, you can have a big libertarian tent. You'd have to draw the line somewhere. Yeah. I would say probably it's socialism. You probably don't want that. But even socialism is in the Libertarian Party somehow. Yeah.
Probably shouldn't be. But so I don't know. Just the Mises Caucus in and of itself, it's like once I was able to coming out of the Joe Jorgensen campaign and all that, Spike absolutely loved working with, and I have plans. We're working on some stuff together right now. But being able to utilize all these different faces and names and the biggest players in the liberty movement that have all been shunned from the Libertarian Party, it was so refreshing to be able to use like Ron Paul's words and Ron Paul's imagery. It's like, what do you know how much easier that makes my job when we can use these incredible messengers and actually use them for the party? How much better the content will be than trying to find that tiny little clip of Joe Jorgensen saying something with a little bit of passion in her voice and then amping that up to 11. Like, it makes my job so much easier. And the thing that got me to just start digging into the Mises Caucus more was just seeing how many people are on this list. Like Eric July, Tom Woods, Ron Paul, Scott Horton. It's like, you can only believe the rumors so far. And if you see all these people in there, and that's kind of what I was trying to do with the video that I made, is show these people, like, you can believe one of these people might have some racial insensitivity or something like that, but you can't look at all these people and all the amazing work that they do and their millions of followers and say, yeah, they're all racists, and the only ones who aren't racists are these people over here who don't have any following at all. It just doesn't work. They've screamed it too loudly and too shrilly to the point where I don't understand how anybody can take it seriously anymore.
Yes, somehow Ron Paul and Tom Woods and Dave Smith have fooled people with this racist dog whistle that has brought in, tens or hundreds of thousands of, in Ron Paul's case, millions of people.
Right.
And is that more likely that the racist dog whistle is bringing these people in? Or is it more likely that there's not a racist dog whistle and it's actually just a good message?
Yeah, maybe you're a crazy person. That's also a possibility, but I don't know. Whatever. Do you have any other thoughts? Where do you see this stuff going over the next couple years leading into 2022? Are you supporting, obviously you're supporting the caucus. Are you down with like Angela McArdle and some of the people that they're putting out there?
Yeah. I was that 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, Brian interviewed Angela McArdle on Electric Liberty Land on Lines of Liberty. Check that out if you haven't. But yeah, I think Angela is a great fit to be chair of the party. I think, just alone, I think her messaging, if you listen to that interview for libertarianism, is very good. But on top of that, I think she'll be able to put the right people in place to get, the correct, good messaging on social media. And really, I think really put libertarian ideas as close to the mainstream, actually, as we can get them. And bring people like, obviously Dave Smith is now, he's into the party, he's active. And Dave Smith is going on Fox News, and he has a huge podcast. And he has his regular libertarian podcast, Part of the Problem. He's also on Legion of Skanks, which is a massive podcast that gets something ridiculous, like 100,000 downloads an episode or something crazy like that. So, and he's on Joe Rogan all the time. So it's a huge platform. I am very, very positive about where things are going. I don't know how big this is going to be. I don't think we're going to see a President Dave Smith. I think Dave Smith will run for president, though. But
I don't think, even if Dave Smith runs, I don't think Dave Smith thinks he's going to be president. He's not living in a delusional state where he thinks that if I get on Joe Rogan enough times, the rest of the country will accept anarchism. Like, he's not stupid.
Yeah, it's using, it's the Ron Paul technique, using that as a platform to grow the message and, get people elected locally, get people involved in local politics, and start to build up a groundswell from the bottom, which I think in many states we have in Pennsylvania is one of the states, which is where it goes back to the leadership in Pennsylvania that's been here. They've done a great job of getting that started. And I do not say that lightly. Like, these guys and girls, the new chair is a female. So the new chairwoman, she's worked hard. And I think, I guess it's so they did try to sneak something through which I was another shady thing, which I forgot to mention, where right now in Pennsylvania, it's year to year. The chair is elected. They tried to sneak it through to be the year would be a 2-year term. So we couldn't get our person in at next year's convention, but we were able to swat that down by saying, and by swaying enough people, I forget who brought up the amendment that this should go into effect in 2023. Something this major shouldn't go in effect right now.
Right.
So
So
That's the way
yeah,
it left
once the
people, so
Mises
it was pushed
Caucus
out to
gets
2023.
once the Mises Caucus gets their person elected chair, then you guys can put in this abuse of power if you want. That's fine.
Exactly. Or yeah, who knows? Or maybe we'll just get rid of it and go back, just
Yeah.
change the bylaws. We'll probably change the bylaws and go back to every year.
Yeah,
Because I mean, 'cause the only reason they wanted to go, I mean, I'm reading minds here, but why else would they do it?
it's pretty obvious.
Because they wanted to have an extra year before the Mises Caucus took over.
Right.
But I'm super optimistic, and that's why I put my money where my mouth was to support the Mises Caucus. I think that things are going to get really, really exciting here. I mean, on the levels of Ron Paul, 2008, 2012, which means we're going to get the same amount of hate as Ron Paul got in 2008, 2012, and people are going to be fired up in both directions. But
I would prefer to have a bunch of hate coming from the rest of the world outside of the Libertarian Party, and then we can all unite around the fact that we're all hated together, and then the people who aren't actually in this for the right reasons will probably peace out because they can't handle the hate. I want to be hated for the right reasons. We have plenty of reasons to be hated as libertarians. Being made up Nazis or whatever is not one of them.
I agree. Yeah, hate from the outside can be a very good thing because it brings people together.
Yeah. I mean, we're terrorists anyway, according to the CIA, but
the most dangerous people out there right now.
That's right.
White male libertarians.
That's right. Well, on that note, seems like a good place to wrap it up. John, do you have any final thoughts? Anything? What would you tell to the listeners who are? I actually have some friends who are currently getting into the Libertarian Party right now as we speak, and they're just as misguided as I was 2 or 3 years ago when I joined, and they're going to be finding out how dangerous the waters can be and how ugly some things can be. What would you say to the new members to the Libertarian Party?
I mean, the first thing is I would say get involved with your local chapter, your local county meeting. Start attending that, which is it's a business meeting, but it's good to you don't have to go every month, but get to know people there, show your face. If you have events, show up at those. Depending on where you're coming from, if you're a fan of a Tom Woods or a Dave Smith or Alliance of Liberty or something like that, you might want to check out the Mises Caucus. If not, that's fine. I mean, like I said before, it's not like everyone has to join the Mises Caucus. That's
right.
not. I don't think that's like the end goal here at all.
Right.
But I mean, just go in with an open mind and also understand that, like we talked about before, there are going to be assholes. But if you go to the Republican Party, there's going to be assholes there. There's probably a lot more assholes in the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. And the nice thing about the Libertarian Party, still, even at this point, as it is starting to grow a little bigger, you can, if you want to get involved, if you want to work on a campaign, if you want to run for office, you can show up to a county meeting and basically be doing any of those things in a matter of months. If there is,
it can be a one-man takeover.
Yes.
Yep. Well, cool, man. In the immortal words of the great Nicholas Sarwark, the Libertarian Party is those who show up, and he might regret those words in the coming years. I don't know. He might not.
Oh, shit, that is. Well, it's actually not. In Pennsylvania, it's not those who show up. It's those who show up and have been a party member for 180 days.
It's those who show up a couple months ago. Yeah, that's great. But John, tell everybody where they can find out all the information about you, Lions of Liberty, Finding Freedom, and everything you got going on, your coffee company, and your gut biomes, or whatever you feel like plugging, man.
Yeah, sure, man. And Dan, thanks for having me on. I think since the last time I was on your podcast, I was on your brother's podcast twice. So we see who likes me more, obviously.
Lame. I saw you go on there, and I was like, I don't even want to talk to him anymore. So.
But yeah, Lions of Liberty, if you haven't heard of it, it's a libertarian variety show, the way we do things. So it's myself, Mark Clare, Brian McWilliams. Mark's show is on Monday. He's kind of done a rebranding too. Same, he hasn't changed the name or anything. It's still the flagship Lions of Liberty podcast, but he interviews entrepreneurs. He's real involved with sort of the expat community, bringing people on like that. And Also libertarians are still coming on, talking about philosophy and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Brian's show is just Brian and a microphone and some news links, and he goes through them and he rants. And if you know Brian, he's a funny guy who's normally hungover when he's talking, but he brings the energy, brings the fire. Very entertaining on Wednesdays. And then my show on Thursday, Finding Freedom, we're talking to people in the criminal justice system, talking to business owners, talking to all kinds of people who, have either had the state or had, some sort of life circumstance thrown in their way that they've had to overcome and, overcome that obstacle to find their freedom. And what else? So Run Your Mouth Coffee, that's the coffee company that I have with Ben Pangi of the Homeschools and Homesteads podcast. And Run Your Mouth Coffee. Did I say it backwards?
You did.
Well, the nice thing about that podcast is it doesn't matter.
That's right. You won't find it in the search engines, but you can still say it backwards and it still makes sense.
We've given them way too much free advertising.
That's right.
Cut this part out. Check out Run Your Mouth Coffee. Ben and I started it in the very beginning of this year, in January of this year. And we did not really plan it to sync up with this crackdown on free speech that we've seen happen everywhere on social media and the canceling and all the things. But it did. So we're running with that. And, we call ourselves the official coffee of freedom of speech. We are for, uncensorship. We don't want, it's not just about the First Amendment. Obviously, we support your First Amendment right to free speech, but also, private companies, so-called digital private companies like Facebook and Google and those that are just appendages of the government. We are against those censoring people too. And, we're also against individuals censoring people. Let people talk, let people speak, and check out our coffee. It's fresh roasted and then put right in a bag and shipped right to your door. So it doesn't sit on a shelf like in a grocery store on an Amazon shelf for days or weeks at a time. You get it at its peak optimal drinking flavorness. So check that out. That's rymcoffee.com. And the gut health stuff. Yeah. If you have questions about gut health, questions about really finding your, ways to get natural energy, ways to lose weight, things like that, just message me on Facebook and say, I am fat and tired and I need help. I'm kidding. You don't have to be fat. You can actually be in great shape and just have some gut issues that maybe affect your energy, or maybe you could be on your
seventh shit for the day, and maybe that's good enough incentive for you to reach out and beg John for help.
Maybe you have IBS, or my sister's been helped tremendously. She has IBS, or maybe you got some acid reflux you're dealing with. We can help you out there, or maybe you're like Dan, and you just just having to stop yourself up with some kratom.
That's right. Well, cool, man. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. Are you going to Pork Fest this year or no?
At this point, I don't think so. We'll have to decide within a couple of days here. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. So
lame. All right.
Lazy.
I will be at Pork Fest.
I said lazy. It is lazy, also lame. But.
That's right. But John, thanks so much for being here. Look forward to having you on next time. And I'm going to play the Mises Caucus new video called The Takeover, the dangerously titled new video here for everyone. John, are you good to stick around for a little bit of bonus?
Yeah, I can do a few minutes.
Okay,
sure.
Cool. We will play this, and we'll talk to you guys all next time. Until then, please continue to question everything, stand comfortable, and we'll talk to you then. And this is The Takeover, if it plays.
Paul was in New Hampshire today to plug for conservative support. In Massachusetts, he appealed to the liberal voter. As Marcus Jones found out, the libertarian agenda appeals to both attitudes.
When seeking office is done for personal aggrandizement, money, or power, it becomes useless if not harmful.
I happen to be a libertarian because of the compassionate nature of the result.
If we continue in this line, we will have a successful libertarian revolution in this country.
When political action is taken for the right reasons, it's easy to understand why compromise should be avoided. It's also become clear why progress is best achieved by working with coalitions, which bring people together without anyone sacrificing his principles.
We are the inheritors of the most brilliant, beautiful political philosophy ever devised by man.
We are Ron Paul revolutionizing the Libertarian Party.
Your job is to take care of the remnant.
Why is the Libertarian Party not synonymous with the anti-war cause in America? That's a shame.
And the party's been widely irrelevant forever.
We love liberty, and we're here because we hate injustice.
I'm going to make powerful alliances with anybody who's willing to.
The message to them needs to be, the system can't work.
The smartest thing your party can do is embrace the Mises type.
We're here to help.
Support the people that are doing the work.
We will ally with anyone who agrees what is going on needs to stop.
Who says we can't make coalitions on single issues?
End the lockdowns, end the wars, end the Fed, end the banker bailouts, end the corporate bailouts. If we can agree on all of those, that's important enough to put anything else aside.
We are here to save mankind.
My priority is advancing liberty because I live in a tyrannical lockdown state.
The Mises Caucus and the Libertarian Party has a job on their hands.
God bless the Mises Caucus.
The Mises Caucus is just crushing it right now.
This is our year to do another Ron Paul revolution.
If the LP has a purpose, it's not to put people to sleep. It's to wake them up.
This country is in a revolution. They're sick and tired of what they're getting, and I happen to be lucky enough to be part of it.
Fight all of this government tyranny, compromise nothing, grow a fucking backbone, and fight for liberty. That's our message.
I'm glad to see the revolution is continuing. I wondered, I thought the Libertarian Party would be for Mises. I didn't know they had to have another caucus.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out and help us change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/thesystemsdown for bonus episodes of the show every single week. Until next time, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.